from him ecstatic prema emanates, him ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, friend of the poor and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto us. Give us your fame spread all the free world. Right here. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakti Sadma Vandam we Savadana Mate Vandam we Savadana Mate Jara prasare bhai embhavatoriyanga Jara prasare bhai embhavatoriyanga Krishna Prapti Hoida Oti Krishna Prapti Hoida Oti Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Se Koriya Hikya Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Se Koriya Hikya Ana kori ho mane asha Ana kori ho mane asha Shri Guru Charane Rati Ese Uttama Gati Shri Guru Charane Rati Ese Uttama Gati Shri Prasade Pure Sava Asha Ye prasade pure sarvasha. Unchakko dandiloye, janme janme Prabhu se. Unchakko dandiloye, janme janme Prabhu se. Gyan Vide Prokashita Gyan Vide Prokashita Premam Bhakti Jaha Hote Adja Vinashiyate Premam Bhakti Jaha Hote Adja Vinashiyate Hare Charito Vede Gaya Hare Charito Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama Janara Bandhu Loke de Divana Prabhupada Loke de Divana Prabhu Korodoya Deho More Parachaya 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 Sutri Bhuvana Ebe Sutri Bhuvana Prabhupada Patita Pavana Shri Prabhupada Patita Pavana Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Uttale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Astachari Satarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gopta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gopta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gopta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Hare. Jaya Radha Shama Sundar Radha Shama Sundar Hare. Jaya Radhe Sham Jaya Radhe Sham Radhe Sham Jaya Radhe Sham. Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balaram, Jaya Krishna Balaram. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Vishnupad Paramahansa Bhajikacharya Satortha Shri Srimanta Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Islam BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayo Vishnupad Paramahansa Bhajikacharya Satortha Shri Srimanta Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavanda Ki Jai. Namacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Shri Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Baba Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaur Bhaktabinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadip Mayapur Dham ki jai, Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai, Ganga Mahi ki jai, Yamuna Mahi ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai. Ki Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Transcendental Book Distribution ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glory to Sri Guru and Gauranga.
Shri Radhe Shyam ki jai. So today's reading is from Bhagavatam 3, 9, 12. Canto 3, Chapter 9, text number 12. Preaching activities satisfy the Lord. The demigods are called Sakama devotees, or devotees with material desires in mind, while the pure devotees are called Nishkama devotees, because they have no desires in their personal interests. The Sakama devotees are self-interested because they do not think of others, and therefore they are not able to satisfy the Lord perfectly, whereas the pure devotees take the missionary responsibility of turning non-devotees into devotees, and they are therefore able to satisfy the Lord more than the demigods. Sometimes the Lord himself descends for missionary activities, as he did in the form of Lord Chaitanya, but mostly he sends his bona fide representatives, and thus he shows his causeless mercy towards the non-devotees. The Lord is so satisfied with his pure devotees that he wants to give them the credit of missionary success, although he could do the work personally. This is a sign of his satisfaction with his pure Nishkam devotees compared to the Sakama demigod devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So today is the birthday of Radha Damodar Prabhu. Is he around? Radha Damodar? Jai Hari Bol. Happy birthday. I have Mahaprasadam for you too. So please let's pray to the deities to bless him so he continues in his devotional service and he receives the true shelter of the feet of the Lord. Okay, let's see. So it's Harinam today. We leave here at 5 p.m. for the stadium. Actually, we meet at Krishna House first at 5:30, and then we do Harinam for a couple hours. Tomorrow morning, Karnapur Prabhu would be speaking. Actually, we'll be discussing. Srila Prabhupada will give a short class, and then he will give some suggestions, and then he will also have a little quiz, and everybody will get a chance to participate. So there will be interaction. And Pushkar Prabhu will give class today. Here are the devotees who have assisted their Guru in dressing the deities. Shri Shri Radhe Shyam were dressed by Raghunath Prabhu, Chota Radhe Shyam by Mother Leela, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram by Ramanya Prabhu, Chota Krishna Balaram, Mother Manjari, Shri Shri Gaurnitai by Mother Sarala, and Chota Gaurnitai, Mother Shri Vrindavan, and the Gurus and Lord Nrsingadev by Madhuri Gopi Prabhu.
Gauranga bolite hobe pulakashari. Hori Hari bolite na yane babeni. Ranga bolite hobe pulakashari. Hari Hari bolite na yane babeni. Gauranga bolite hobe pulakashai. Hari Hari bolite nayane baobeni. Gauranga bolite hobe pulakashai. Arakobe nitoi chande karuna oibe samsara bashana mora sobe tuchahobe. Vishaya Charya Kabe Shudha Habe Man Kabe Hamo Hirabo Shibendavan. Rupa Raghunatha Pare Hoi Beatuti Kobe Hama Bhuja Boshe Yugala Priti. Mahuja Boshe Jugala Piriti. Rupa Raghunatha Pare Raho Moraja Partana Koroi Shada Narottama Daja. Gauranga bolite hobe pulakasharira. Hare Hare bolite na yane bobe nira. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajikacharya Stotara Sutashi Mari Shivakanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Nityananda Pavishta Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Privrajikacharya Stotara Sutashi Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Shri Radha Krishna Gop Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jagannath Puri Dham Ki New Ramanviti Dham Ki Tulasi Devi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Ganga Mai Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Samveta Bhaktavinda. Glory to the Assembly Devotees, glory to the Assembly Devotees, all glory to all glory to Sri Guranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Janalam Davajo Kanakavadato Sankirtanaika Pitaro Kamalaya Taksho Vishmambalo Dvijabaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagat Priyakaro Kurnavataro Ananda Lidamaya Vigrahaya Himabdivyaksha Vishundaraya Tasmai Mahapremara Sapradaya Chaitanya Chandra Namo Namaste. So we're reading the verse 249. Did it say that? I hope so. 249. So this is still the conversation. I think I've been doing this for the last year or so, at least. Minimum. But we shouldn't stop just because the year is up. It's not up yet. There's still some 20 verses, 15. I don't know. Okay. Mukta maje konji mukta kore mani. Krishna prema jarashe mukta shiromani. Mukta maje konji va mukta kore mani. Krishna prema jarashe mukta shiromani. Mukta maje konji mukta kare mani. Krishna prema jashe mukta shiromani. Mukta maje konji mukta kare mani. Krishna prema jase mukta shiromani. Mukta maje konji mukta kare mani. Krishna prema jase mukta shiromani. Mukta maje konji mukta kare mani. Krishna prema jashe mukta shiromani. Simple verse, anyone else? JR, you do it. Mukta maji konjiva mukta kore mani. Mukta prema jashe mukta shiromani. Ladies. Mukta kore mani. Krishna prema jashe mukta shiromani. Krishna prema jashe mukta mukta maje konjiva mukta korimani ashe mukta mukta madye among the liberated. Calm. What? Jiva, living entity. Mukta, liberated. Kori, considering. As. Mani, we accept. Krishna prema, one who loves Krishna. Ja, of whom? She, such a person. Mukta Shiromani, the topmost of all liberated souls. Translation, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then inquired, out of all liberated persons, who should be accepted as the greatest? Ramananda Roy replied, he who has love for Krishna has attained the topmost liberation. Purport. In Srimad Bhagavatam 6.14.5 it is said, Muktanam api siddhanam narayana parayana sudurlabha prashantatma koti swapi mahamune. O great sage, of the many millions of liberated persons, and of the millions who have attained perfection, he who is a devotee of Lord Narayan is very, very rare. Indeed, he is the most perfect and peaceful person. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshura Malikangena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jutapata Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sahagujatam Sahagana Raganatam Mitam Tam Sadivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitang Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Vidam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vidam Shra Panchakalpadurubhyashta Kipasana Bevachaptitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Mukta maje konjiva mukta korimani Krishna prema jashe mukta shiromani. Oh, brother, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then inquired, out of all liberated persons, who should be accepted as the greatest? And Ramananda Roy replied, he who has love for Krishna has attained the topmost liberation. Now the purport is very lengthy. Prabhupada's quoting one verse. Muktana siddhanam narayana prayana sudurlabha prashantatma koti swapi mahamune. Great sage, of the many millions of liberated persons and the millions who have attained perfection, he who is a devotee of Lord Narayan is very, very rare indeed. He is the most perfect, peaceful person. So this verse appears, it says here in 6th Canto 14.5. And that chapter is an explanation of the Vitrasura pastime, or previously Parikshit Maharaj heard from Sukadev Goswami about the whole battle between the devas and demigods and this Vitrasura. Vitra means he covers. It's so huge that he covers the universe, or he covers a good part. Vitra's a very big demon. But this demon was not a demon. He was a great devotee. So during the battle between Indra and Vitrasura, Indra had to muster all his, whatever he had, wits to try to kill Vitrasura. And Vitrasura was constantly taunting him that, come on, fight, what's the matter with you? Don't you know what you'll achieve? And you should kill me, like that. Because he was completely detached, because he was a great devotee in a previous life as Chitraketu. And in the present life, although in the guise of a demon, just like Prahlad Maharaj is also, one could say he's a demon, Daityanam. Krishna says amongst the Daityas, I am Prahlad. Prahladas chasmi Daityanam. So similarly, the comparison is made by the Acharyas of Vitrasura. So therefore, Indra was lamenting because he knew he killed this great devotee. And he didn't. So why was he lamenting? That was a big question that was posed before Shukadev. And so Parikshit Maharaj was saying that some very interesting verses, and this is actually one of them. Rajobi Samasankhya Partivad. In the verses previous to this, Muktanam Api Siddhanam, it says here, 5th verse, so the one or two before describes that amongst, there's so many living entities, first of all, describe that. Rajobi Samasankhya, that there are as many living entities as there are atoms, atomic particles. So that was an interesting verse. You can meditate on that for a couple of minutes. So there's so many living entities. How is it that this, basically he was saying, how is it that this Vritrasura, who was a demon, was liberated and was a great devotee? It's inconceivable. So many living entities. Koti Majje Durlabh Ek Krishna Bhakta. There's described in the teachings, this verse is quoted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Rupa Goswami in Majja 19 also. And in that chapter, when you get up past a certain point, that Mahaprabhu at the Dasasvamedha Ghat was teaching Rupa Goswami, I think for 10 days. 10 days. Like, you know, we've been studying this excerpt. Kaviraj Goswami says, just think of it, that Kaviraj Goswami constantly says that he's only giving a little bit. He's kind of lamenting, but at the same time he said, I'm very old, and he doesn't say I could give more, but he says, I'm giving something, but it's enough, don't worry, it's enough. So we can imagine in 10 days they had the conversation. From one angle, 10 days with Lord Chaitanya, I mean, you got to be pretty smart, first of all, to be sitting there talking and being the recipient. Lord Chaitanya empowered Rupa Goswami within the heart to understand these things, just as Ramananda Roy is understanding in another way. So 10 days, people go to college for 6 years to get a master's, 8 years to get a PhD, or 7, 8 years, different types of things. Years. So 10 days with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Rupa Goswami understood whatever. Was completely empowered from one angle. The other angle is it's 10 days with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he's Rupa Goswami. That's the special personalities. So in the description, this verse appears also. And so many verses are there. That Ved, Nishida Kaj Kori Ved Mukyamani. One of the things mentioned is how there's so many living entities. So it's Lord Chaitanya's kind of in the same mood of this conversation in the 614, that he's saying out of all these living entities, some are moving living entities, others staying still. Stavara Jangama. And of the moving living entities, there are the type of fish and birds on up. And human beings, he gets up to the human beings. Out of the human beings, a lot of them are just completely uncivilized. Described by Sukadeva Goswami. All these, but they can all be delivered by the mercy of the spiritual master who has taken full shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So anyway, back to that conversation, Rupa Goswami, many verses are well-known verses appear there, such as Bhukti Mukti Shri Kame Shakala Ashanta. See, we have this reference about peacefulness, Prashantatma. Evam Prashanamanaso. In the first canto, this similar theme began in the Bhagavatam. Evam Prashanamanaso Bhagavad Bhakti Yogata Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam Mukta Sangasya Jayate. One aspiring for liberation, as is mentioned here, Mukti. Mukti Shiromani. Who's the best of the Muktas? So in so many places that's described. Actually, when I studied Bhagavad Gita this morning, I saw many references to Mukti and liberation, and you could see why people who are interested in liberation will be wanting to read Bhagavad Gita. Like in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Shubha Shubha Parareva Moksha Se Karma Bandhanai. Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma Vimukto Mam Upaishyasi. What is the symptom of someone who's liberated is Vimukto Mam, he will attain liberation. Shubha Shubha. He's immune to Shubha, that which is auspicious, inauspicious, Shubha, Palare, Mokshase. He's free of any Tuya, Nindas, Tatirmoni. Those who blaspheme him, praise him. Mukta Satchachame Priya. In the 12th chapter of the Gita, this same subject is clear. All the symptoms of a pure devotee are given in the last half of the chapter, 12th chapter. Yasmin no vijate no vijate chaya. Harsha marsha bayodvega. Advaishta sarvabhutani, maitra karune. There's a whole long list, but the one I was thinking of is that particular verse. No vijate lokan no vijate. Harsha marsha bayodvega. Mukta. In the end of each these verses, he'll say bhakti same priya. But in one of them he says mukta. So he is liberated who is not agitated in any way by any other living entity. So that's something. That means you're peaceful. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the emblem of peacefulness. Sannyasa krit shamo shanto nishta shanti parayana. And he silences. He's Shiromani. He's the real Shiromani. But in this case, he's asking Ramananda Roy. He's sitting there emanating pure peace, and he's Krishna Prema Pradayate. He's giving Ha Vishvambara Ha. He's nourishing the universe. Ha Vishvambara Ha Rasama Maharasamaya Premaika Nishta Premaika Sampannida. He's the ocean of Prema. Akila Rasamita Murti, the ocean of all Ras and Prem. And he's sitting there in front of Ramananda Roy. Don't forget. We would be hard put to say anything probably. But somehow Ramananda Roy was able to able to speak. And there might have been a lot of times when he had fainted. We don't know. But at least whatever we're getting in Chaitanya Charitamrita, at one point, of course, many times he's fainting in ecstasy. And he spent the rest of his leelas with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so we're getting the instruction, peeking in. So within this Muktanam Apisidanam, even in the, what is it, the 6th, 7th chapter, what verse? That we get Manushanam Sahasreshu Kaschid Yatati Siddha Yatatama. So many liberated persons. First of all, hardly anyone wants liberation. They want liberation, they want to enjoy, but then Koti Karmanishta. Many of them are Karmanishta. So Prabhupada explains there in the purport, those who are civilized, who accept Vedas, then most of them, Bahuta Karmanishta. Most of them, all the civilized persons, and civilized is still pretty good because civilized means, according to the strict standard, one is following regulative principles, no meat eating. So many of them are just Karmanishta. And of the Karmanishtas, those who are attached to fruit of activity, some even do fruit of activity for others. That's explained there also. They don't just do it for themselves, but there are many persons who are making a lot of money, or they're doing it for other people. They're all philanthropists and just do-gooders, as we call them. They're not even doing it for themselves, but still they're not Krishna bhaktas. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then slims it down that out of all those karmanishtas, some of them may become Gyani. Koti Karmanishta, Ek Gyani Shrestha. And out of Koti Gyanis, many Gyanis who have got just interested in knowledge. They're detached, they're just interested in knowledge, and they think, many times they think they're liberated. Vamukto Maninas, in the prayer in the 2nd chapter, 10th canto, a famous prayer. Ye nye arindaksha vamukto Maninas. Vamukto Maninas is a very big term that devotees should be familiar with. Prabhupada quoted many times. Maninas means like money here, considering. They consider they are liberated. But actually, Lord Brahma or the demigods, they're saying, Vimukta Maninas, Tvayastabhavadava Shuddha Buddha, but they're not actually pure. They're impure. They don't even know that they're supposed to become completely pure. They're Avashuddha Buddhaya. Therefore, Aruya Krichena Parampadam Tatak Patantyadho Yasmar Angya. Not Drita Yasmar Angya. Because they don't accept Krishna personally, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then despite all their endeavor, Krichena means very difficult endeavor. Sometimes if you're in India, you see people trying to become detached. They're lying on still beds of nails, or I saw one guy standing on one leg outside Bombay. We went to see him. He's suspended by a rope, but he was standing for like 30 years. Maybe he left his body now, but that was in 1978. So many types of austerities are there that people undergo to become detached. So the devotees are not, this is like at Makul Tanjali Sevate Sman, Bilva Mangala Thakur, Trivida was quoting, right? At least you were quoting from Bilva Mangala, that famous verse where Bilva Mangala Thakur was saying, Bhaktis twice tara tara Bhagavan Yadi Shadai Vainana Palati Divyakashora Murti. Remember, Bilva Mangala Thakur had blinded himself. He couldn't even see. But in that verse, Prabhupada said, just see. He cannot see, but he's saying, Divyakashora Murti. He's seeing the divine form of Krishna. Divyakashora Murti. Because his bhakti is so strong. He said, now that my bhakti is so strong, Bhaktis twice, Taratara, Bhagavan Yadishad, that he says, Dharmartha, what is it? No, the third line is he says, things like Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, they are rolling on the ground in front of me. Mukti Mukula Tanjali Sevate Sman. Mukti Mukula. He's begging. With Mukula Tanjali means hands folded. Begging for Bilva Mangala to look at him. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this age, he has made it very easy to attain liberation. Not that he has actually made it, but he has taken and given us the holy name. We were also discussing some verses about this. Akristi Krita Chaitasam. This is Fitrivida. Akristi Krita Chaitasam. And if I forget it, I know he knows it. Sumanasam. This is one of Rupa Goswami's verses. It's in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita. That the holy name of Krishna is a great source of pleasure for all liberated persons. That means they're already liberated. Akristi Krita Chaitasam. Krita Chaitasam means their mind is already Krita Chaitasam. Sumanasam. Uchatanam. And it destroys all sin. Achandalam. Amukaloka Sulabo. And this is the part I love about this verse. Vashashcha Mukti Shriya. First it says, anybody, even down to the Chandalas, except maybe those who are mukha, who can't speak, they're the only ones who won't be able to, because they can't speak the holy name. Even then, I saw a brahmachari in 1970s in Mayapur, and he was chanting. Well, he couldn't speak. He probably was deaf, but I used to see him with his bead bag, his kodiyam up, and he was just mumbling, but he was chanting, so it's possible. But that verse says, amukha. Only if you can't speak at all. He was speaking, but he probably couldn't hear them. Amukha sulabo. Here we have the word sulaba. Very wonderful to get something like that. So that verse says sulaba, and it says vashash to mukti shriya. We're talking about mukti. It says the holy name is the controller of liberation. That's what I like about that verse. I mean everything about it, but in this particular case. Vashas means control. Ishavasham idam sarvam yakinja. So Vasha, Ishavasham, Krishna is the supreme controller. As the holy name, Vashash Mukti Shriya. Vashash to Mukti Shriya. Right? Vashas, short A. Vashash to Mukti Shriya. The opulence of liberation, this is the opulence, it controls it completely. And so, should we do another line of that? Huh? No diksham nachat sakriyam na purascharjam manag ikshate. What is it? Mantroyam rasanaspregeva falati namatmata. So, very wonderful verse. Anybody's interested in verses? The rest of the verse says that you don't require diksha to chant. No diksham na sakriyam, any kind of previous activity, purascharja.
Mana, not even slightly dependent. Mana ikshite, it's not even slightly dependent on any of those things. However, at the end, the last line is very wonderful. What was it? Mantroyam rasanasprigeva palati Shri Krishna namamaka. Chanting, just touching the mantra with one's tongue. Sprigeva palati, one gets full fruits of love of God. But of course, we recommend initiation. Prabhupada said, whenever we see this type of idea that there's no initiation recommended, he said, this is for a liberated person, as it says in the beginning of the verse. Prabhupada said, generally we're dealing with conditioned souls. So generally means, except for Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta and maybe one or two others, and this is also the idea at the end of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Aneka janma samsiddhas. After many births, it describes a yogi who falls. Arjuna was asking Krishna about what happens to the yogi who's unsuccessful, so Krishna was describing, after many births, then he attains liberation. Prayatnadyatamanas samsuddha. Like that. After much endeavor, many births. Aneka janma samsiddhas tato yati parangati. I think that's the last line. Probably not. But after many births, and then he's still a yogi, and then it says tapasvi byoti yogo, tapasvi byoti yogi. Better than tapasvi, better than a yogi. Or yogi is better than a tapasvi, karmi bhyaschadiko dika. Better than a karmi. The yogi is better than a karmi. Gyani bhyopi metodika. Better than a gyani. Still the yogi is better. That's what Krishna says. But yogi nam api sarvesham mahagatanantara. The highest yogi, as Shiromani described here, one who always thinks of me. So Bhagavad Gita has everything in a nutshell, and we get more nectar when we read the Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. Now in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the story of Haridas Thakur, we're discussing also that Dravida was probably the first one in ISKCON to memorize the verse. Angha sanghared akilam, what is it? Eva udayad eva sakala lokasya. Right? Did I got it wrong? Got it right. Took me 40 years. But okay. Taraner eva timada jaladim jayati jagan mangalam harinam. This is a verse spoken by Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur is known as Mahavidbang. Great. Sometimes, most of the time we think Haridas Thakur is just chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. 3 lakhs takes a while. I know there's one devotee around here who chants 1 lakh. It takes him all day. But Haridas Thakur not only chanted 3 lakhs, like 190 rounds or something. It's like, my father used to say, it's like a telephone number. Something. But there's a lot of rounds. And still, he was so learned that he was invited to speak at the father and uncle of Raghunath Das Thakur. They were also great pundits. Maybe not quite as great as Thakur Haridas. But it's described they were pundits, although they were great Vaishyas and very, very wealthy. So they were tax collectors for the Mohammedans. Tax collector means they were, you'd take a quarter of it yourself or something. You get a big amount, a lot of money. So one of their main men was this Gopal Chakravarti. Anyway, Gopal Chakravarti was a very handsome man. But when Thakur Haridas quoted this verse, which I have to tell you what it means, Aha Sanghara, this describes the holy name. Jayati Jagan Mangalam Harinam at the end. But this holy name, Angha Sanghara, it destroys all sinful activity for all the world, Sakla Lokasya. It is like the sun, Tarane, even Jaladim, even Timira Jaladim. Timira Jaladim is the ocean of darkness. So when he spoke that verse, he asked the people there, the learned scholars, said, please explain it. And they all said, unanimously said, no, you're the only one qualified to give the explanation of this verse. Well, in this way, and I think this even happened before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wasn't there anyway. So in this case, Thakur Haridas started to speak. And this Gopal Chakravarti, when he gave his explanation, Gopal Chakravarti became very kruda. It says crude. Kruda means kruda. But anyway, he became very angry. He said, how is it that so many persons are yogis and gyanis for unlimited lifetimes are trying to attain liberation? And this Thakur Haridas is trying to tell us, he's just an emotional devotee, and he's trying to tell us that liberation and freedom from sinful activity are just little side products. They're not that important that you get. But there's people are trying to, and it's just by chanting the holy name. How can you accept that? He was so angry. Very handsome guy too, unfortunately for him. He was very puffed up. He got so angry. He said, if the holy name doesn't deliver us, then I'll cut off your nose. Imagine telling Haridas Thakur that. Haridas Thakur didn't get angry, but everybody else got very angry. Haridas Thakur said, yes, if it doesn't work, I'll cut off my own nose. No problem. He was pretty convinced, it seems. I mean, Maya personified came to tempt Haridas, and she couldn't do anything. She just wanted to be initiated into chanting Hare Krishna. So that Gopal Chakravarti, unfortunately, within some short time, his beautiful golden fingers were like champak, golden colored fingers, or like lotus fingers, and his nose, which was very high and perfect, his nose fell off. Anyway, Haridas Thakur did not get any pleasure of seeing this man suffer. So in this way, we have to accept the glories of the holy name. Mukta kalar upashamanam harinami sankhrayami. Ai mukta kalar upashamanam. In one of Rupa Goswami's verses, he describes, what's the beginning of that verse? That one? Ai mukta kalar upashamanam. Nikila shuti mauli ratnamala juti narajata pada pankajam. Ai mukta kalar upashamanam. Paritas tvam harinami sankhrayami. So Rupa Goswami's written Namastakam, many glorifications of the chanting Hare Krishna. And so is Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami, he tells us that Mukyo Vagindriye, that of all the senses become fulfilled when the holy name is taken on the Mukyo Vag, on the tongue, within the mouth of the devotee. Mukyo Vagindriye. Tasyodaya. Not only that, he says, the chanting of the holy name, especially loudly, it defeats liberation because paraharshada, it gives others pleasure. Like we go on Harinam. Gee, I wonder why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu liked Harinam. I wonder why Prabhupada wanted us to stay on Harinam. Close the temple, he said in 1969. Keshava knows. There's one letter where Prabhupada said, you can close the temple, leave one pujari, and everyone should go out for chanting. This was before even book distribution. Because Sanatana Goswami says, Paraharshada, gives others pleasure. Tat prabhur denatopi shan, namasan kirtanam varam. He said, therefore the holy name is the best of meditation. You like to meditate? Meditate on chanting Hare Krishna. Because it not only helps you, but it helps others. Saparaharshana. So there's so many glorifications. Kirtan Adeva Krishna Sha Mukta Sangha. Here we have the word Muktama. So those who chant Hare Krishna, Parambrajat, they get the supreme liberation without any extra endeavor. Kirtan Adeva Krishna Sha. Another wonderful explanation of liberation. Well, in the beginning of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami is so brilliant that you have to have someone like Jiva Goswami to explain. Anyway, but Rupa Goswami, in the 4th verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he has this amazing, all of them are, he says, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Charato, he says, the characteristics of pure bhakti are such that Charato paribhuta kala jalabhya. Those who take to bhakti, and especially the holy name, Paribhuta Kala, they conquer time. They conquer fear and time, the network of time. Mukti Narikam, he says, Mukti Narikam Namasyami. Mukti Narikam, he says the devotees are just like the makaras, the great, like the Shiromani. They're the sharks, or the makara is like, not quite a shark, but it's a fish that's crocodile, combination of crocodile and shark. They swim in the ocean of bhakti rasa, of bhakti rasa. But the Gyani, the so-called Gyanis, they swim narikam in the rivers of liberation. Mukti narikam namas. Mukti narikam. Narika is the river. Mukti narikam. Therefore, in the next verse, then, he makes a very stark, wonderful analogy that he says that the mimamshaka vidabagne jiva, I'm giving the idea, but vidabagne is the fire. There's a fire that Rupa Goswami doesn't explain, but Jiva Goswami, that's why I mentioned Jiva Goswami, he explains what this fire is. It's a volcano that's under the South Pole that was put there at one point. And this volcano is in the shape of a mare, which is a female horse, mouth, which is a vada abba agni, a fire in the shape of a mare's mouth. So that volcano is compared, although it's virulent, a volcano ordinarily is, wow, you will kill everybody, but because it's being drowned by the ocean of bhakti, just like that Vada Abna is under the South Pole. There's a huge ocean with ice on top of it. It cannot do anything. So he's praying it will be, he's giving the benediction that this ocean of bhakti, Rasamrita, Sindhu, Rupa Goswami is giving this benediction, that this ocean of bhakti is so powerful, it will severely restrict the mamamshaka, two types of mamamshakas, the Gyanis and the Karmis, who always want to protest. They all want to enjoy bhukti, mukti, siddhi, and the siddhis, the yogis, of course. But especially the bhukti muktis are mentioned there. Yogis have a little better chance sometimes. Gyanis also. Udara sarva evaiti, gyani tatmaiva mematam. They have a chance, Krishna says also. Udara, they're liberal sometimes, and they can also attain. So everyone can attain Krishna bhakti. But in this case, Rupa Goswami is restricting them, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with this ocean of bhakti. So those who are swimming in this ocean, why should they care about the rivers of liberation? Useless. Okay, so, any comments, questions, further thoughts?
Thank you, Prabhu, for your glorification of the holy name in this Holy Name Week. You mentioned that one who chants the holy name overcomes or conquers over time. And you were translating that word from kala, right? Kala, time. And then you said fear right then.
Apara samsatin goram yanama vivishogranam, in the first canon, the first chapter, that for even unconsciously entangled, apana samsatin goram, in this samsriti, goram, horrible samsara, that I guess it's being given by Sutra Goswami in that verse. Apana samsatin goram yanama vivishogranam tato vimucheta yadvibeti swayam bayam. Yadvibeti swayam. Tatak sadyo vimucheta. One is liberated from this fear. Tatak sadyo, immediately. Tatak sadyo vimucheta. That fear itself is afraid of the holy name. When the chanting of the holy name is there, then that's what Haridas Thakur was saying in that just the light, abaso peak shapyati, even just the light, the dim reflection when the sun is just not even risen, there's light. That little bit of light is enough. Anghasan hararakilam sakla lokasya udayat sakla, to destroy the fear of all thieves and ghosts and bad elements in the material world.
I thought you were saying that time and fear were synonymous.
Well, the time and fear are sometimes synonymous. Mrityu sarvaharas chaham udbhavas. Krishna says, I take away everything in time. He is time. Kalosmi, lokakshai. Everyone here will be destroyed. Kalos. Saesha Bhagavan Kala Savesha Nasamaga. In the first canto, this conversation between with Narad Muni and Yudhishthira and Vidura. It's there described. This Kala is Krishna. Saesha Bhagavan Kala Sarveshana Samagata. He's come to take away everything. But if you don't want to see Bhagavan, then you have to see, like Prabhupada said, when the bombs were falling, he was seeing Krishna. Others were fearful. Prabhupada said, no, I don't want to be disturbed. I'm eating my kachuris. Yeah.
Krishna. So you referred to many slokas, and one of them was 15108. I think where the idea is that the chanting doesn't await for diksha, and you quoted that verse. No diksha.
Nasha Sakriyam.
Now the previous verse, Lord Chaitanya is speaking to, I think, Subudhi Roy, who was the Vaishnav, you know. And here, on this point, he's saying once, chanting once, Eka Krishna Name, Kade Sarva Papa Koi. Just chanting one name of Krishna destroys all your sin. And yet we find people chanting, you know, they go by the party, the Sankirtan party, and they may chant in derivation, but they're chanting. They're uttering the name once. You can't chant once, by the way. Chanting means repeated. You would utter it once. So, and here it says the 9 processes of devotional service can be completed just by chanting the holy name.
Navavida Bhakti Purna Nam Hoite Hoi.
Now, what about this one name? How come we find people are still sinful, and we may also be somewhat sinful sometimes, even chanting many, many, many names?
You know that verse, which you're the only one probably in ISKCON that knows it. Rupa Goswami is praying in the beginning of Vidagdha Madhava that even though he's himself fallen, that when a gold can be purified, even if a chandal or a low-class person lights a fire to purify gold, but still the gold will become purified. So he's praying in the same way that although he's sinful, lowly, papishta, when they approach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is the famous verse from? No, the other one they chanted, Nashti Papatma. That from 10th canto. We're so sinful, more than Jagai Madai. So, and also, so does Krishna's Kaviraj say similar things. So devotees are always thinking they're also like that. But he's praying that will remove more, will purify the hearts of the devotees. Now Rupa Goswami, you can say, wow, that's really offensive. Rupa Goswami's thinking the devotees are not pure. But he's dealing with the highest grade of devotees, and he's still giving that benediction. And only the very learned could understand that verse. That one of the ones from Ancha 1, did you ever memorize that one? Yeah. I know you know most of them, but that's a hard one. Anyway, I wouldn't mind learning it. But he's praying in that verse. So, very wonderful verse.
But I mean, the thing is, it's one name chanting. It seems that people are chanting, we're chanting many names.
You know, there's a
and
tape.
Yet the sin is still there.
Prabhupada has his one japa tape where they've just taken one Prabhupada chanting japa one time, Hare Krishna, Hare, and then they made a loop out of it, so it goes for 40 minutes or an hour or whatever. And I never get tired of it. It's only one chant. He only chanted one time. So we could almost argue that if Prabhupada came, someone on his level, and chanted so purely that others could pick up on it, and he only chanted one time. So for people on that level, if he's pure enough, then one chanting is possible. Just like if somebody sees the Rath card, it says he becomes liberated. But he has to stand up and then take the devotional service.
I mean, the way I've seen it explained
Yeah.
is that you're liberated at that point. But you know, the old fan is still turning. And if you don't get association and stay on that, as we say, liberated platform, then you fall back down and you start performing new sin. You're back into the simple. You're
Therefore,
actually free.
wonderful verse that says, Aho Mahatmam Bahudosha Dushtopya Kena Bat Yesha Bavoganena Satsangamakena Sukhavahena Kutajano Yena Kuja Vimuksha. You know that one, right? Anyway, that's right next to Kali Dosha Nidhe Rajanastik in the Chaitanya. In this, the Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, but there's one Kirtanariva Krishna. Yeah, Mukta Sangapanam. I think we quoted that. So the next verse says, let me finish. He's got his hand up. But don't give him the mic because he'll steal the show. This verse says, although the age of Kali is so bad, Aho Mahatma, one devotee speaking to another devotee, calling him Mahatma. Aho Mahatma, Bahudosha Dushto. There's so many Bahudosha, so many evil things in Kali Yuga. Bahudosha, but there's one good thing. Yesha Gunena. What is that? Satsangam Akeni Sukhavahena. Satsangam, association with devotees. Therefore, we always have to keep association. What does it say, the last line? Satsangam Akeni Sukhavahena. It gives sukha, pure happiness, satsanga, Akeni Sukhavahena, and Kritajarayena, Krisham Muksha. It completely destroys our desire for so-called liberation. Because we're already liberated anyway. So now it's a fight between, Janmashtami hasn't even spoken, which is unheralded, unprecedented yet, and Vaikuntha and Madan. They could have a chorus. If they all have the same comment, they can all speak at once.
Referencing this Bhagavatam verse in the purport, there's...
This verse? Narayanam?
No, Muktanam Apisidanam.
Yeah.
I seem to remember a past time with Prabhupada where, and you can correct me if you've written it, where Prabhupada asked, how do we know that we're advancing? And then Prabhupada responds, how much anxiety are you in? In other words, you know, like taking on anxiety.
Well, yeah, that could be transposed into jealousy. I've heard it done with jealousy.
Well, I think that the context was, you know, how much anxiety are you taking on, you know, on behalf of spreading Krishna consciousness, like that. That was the move.
Oh.
So I got two questions. Here's the first one. So, and that seems to be, you know, like Prabhupada took on huge levels of anxiety for spreading Krishna consciousness. Now, that peacefulness, it seems to be almost contradictory for the Goshtiyanandi.
Yeah, well, it's transcendental anxiety.
Yeah, okay. All right, so that's your answer. Okay, so here's the next question. In this verse, it says, of the many millions of liberated persons, okay, so then, you know, then it just narrows it right down. And then there's a devotee. There's very few of them. So the question is this: is there anybody that's actually liberated except a devotee? I mean, in other words, this term seems...
Well, there is, according to some, you know, Koti, Karmi Bhyaparito Hare, that verse, what is it, 10th verse of the Upadeshamrita? Karmi Bhyaparito Hare, Paritaya, is it?
Well, look at 10 to 32. You know, ye Rava
Yeah.
Vimukti, you know, they fall down because it's they're not attached to the lotus feet of the Lord. So is that really liberated?
Sarvo Parivanir Muktam Tatparatain and
Oh,
Nirmalam.
sorry.
Rishikena Rishikesh Sevanam. Unless one takes to Rishikesh Sevanam, then he won't remain. That's why Rupa Goswami has given this verse, Sarvo Parivanir Muktam. Or he's given, what's the other verse? Gana Karmada Navitam. Bhakti, that's real bhakti. So one can be liberated, but he's liberated
In his mind.
There's levels, yeah, but yeah. Well, Shotaganas Tamaranam, in the beginning of the Bhakti-rasudhya, that verse is given right away. Yat pada pankaja palasa, bhaktya, kamashyam gatitam ulkateyanti shanta, tadvan naruktaya. So the explanation Vishnu Chakravarti gives, Tadvana Rikta Matayo, means they have no brain. These persons who are impersonalists, Nashobhati Gyanam, it's not, they have to fall down because there's nothing to be attracted to. They're just really liberated. We're liberated. It's like stopping banging your head against the wall. Oh, wow, feels so good. I stopped banging my head against the wall. Well, now what are you going to do? You stop banging your head against the wall. You got to do something. So therefore, then you have the whole Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu describing Samanya Bhakti, that one is liberated. Yes, the neutral stage is the beginning. Shantaraj, yes. God is very great, I am very small. That is the beginning of real liberation. But of course, the Nechanti, the four types of liberation are rejected. Bina mat sevanam jana. Kapila Dev's famous verse that's given right away. Shaloka Shashti Samipya. Even Shaloka Shashti, even going to Vaikuntha with the same opulence as Vishnu, is rejected by the devotees if there's no service there. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So it's
Namai Vasudeve. Yena. Good one.
Tabat. Let me explain. Until there is love for me, Vasudeva, Rishabdev is identifying with Vasudeva at that point, isn't it? Vasudeva. Until there is love for me, there is no liberation, muchate, from a body, from being bound into a body. So ultimately the answer is no, there is no liberation without love for me.
Well, from their angle, they think they're liberated. So that's why it's Vimukta Maninas. We are liberated.
So then we have to understand that this utilization of that term is
that term is used a lot.
Flexible. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Yes. Okay. You could study this for the next 2 or 3 years. Then we'll have this discussion again. We'll have it during also, but.
Just one point in
he cannot even liberate himself. What's the second two lines? Maya.
No, not Maya.
That's another verse.
But that's the third line.
Prayana Deva Manayasa Vimukti Kama. There's some Vimukti right there. Generally, Prahlad Maharaj says, they go off to the Himalayas, the forest. Prayana Deva Manayasa Vimukti Kama. Monam Charanti, they keep their mouths shut because they don't have anything to say. Monam Charanti. Vijane, they don't see anybody. Not Parartha Nishta, they don't care about anybody. But the Vaishnavas are so compassionate. Therefore, he says, what's it? Nainam. What? Third line. Nainam. Vihaya. Kripana. Vivamuksha eka. I'm not interested in my own liberation. Prabhupada says, the more you're interested in helping others, paraduka duki, then you're getting up to where Prahlad, Vasudev Dutt, Haridas Thakur. Therefore, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati remarks that devotees of the caliber of Haridas Thakur and Vasudev Dutt are millions of times more merciful than Jesus Christ. All right, anything else? Here, on this side now. Oh, he has the mic. Did you do your thing already?
It was just one point in support of the one name. Srila Prabhupada was giving a lecture, Ajamil, and Jayatirtha was reading unpublished manuscript, 6th canto, and they got to the point where Ajamil saw the Yamadutas, and he said, Narayan, Narayan, Narayan. And Prabhupada said, what is that 3 times? It is not 3 times, it is once. Oh, Narayan.
Oh, right, that's
Prabhupada
great.
said, once is sufficient, change
Great
that.
reference. Great reference. All right, Mahendrani and Mahatma.
On the point of the one holy name, I don't have a reference, but I've heard a couple things. One is in one purport, Prabhupada talking about the one holy name said, but there has to be quality to that utterance. And then I've heard that that quality means it's Shudanam, not Nam Aparad, not Nam Abas, but it has to be one Shudanam.
Shudanama
Has that
Ruchi.
effect.
Hare, what's that Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song? What's the rest? Aparada Gucci destroys, one pure name destroys the Aparada Gucci, destroys Aparada.
Another philosophical point, but just a practical point about the Harinam party. At the Spanish Preaching Center so many years ago in Miami, it was raining and the devotees wanted to go on Harinam. Little faith I have, I said, no, I'm not going because it's raining. But they did go, and that day they got a house donated by a lady for the Spanish Preaching Center.
All right, we're done. No? What? Oh, here.
I heard of something that may help to blend and soften the relationship between those who take to impersonal realization and those who take to bhakti yoga. Came from a very respectable bhakti. I won't mention any names here, but it comes from a very respectable, one of the most respected bhakti yogis on the planet. He passed away recently. But he said that the personal stage of liberation is it's essential. Why is it essential? It's essential because you enter into it to burn up the last remaining fragments of your ego. You go on, jump to the highest platform, you still have ego. That's Maya, and she loves it up there. She loves to play religion high-top. But that's just what I read in the book.
Okay. Thank you. Chaitanya Chamrita, keep.